See, you
Boom.
hide talent, Jordan. You just cannot hide talent sometimes. Hey, we're on our march to 1 million. Let's see how we're doing. Let's get into this slide. This third week, Jordan, of a 5-week turn-in month. So, Jordan, I'm gonna let you go ahead and look at these leaderboards. Look at where everybody was this past week. We won't even read these numbers out. We'll just say bravo to everybody. We realize if
Wow.
everybody in this group hits above 15, we're gonna have a good old time at conference, and we're gonna reach that $1 million dream. So, just shout out to everybody on this board. And let's get everybody, hey, if everybody on this board for the next 2 weeks hits 15, I'm thinking we got a good shot. So calling out to all those leaders out there on this board. Awesome. Tina, next slide, please. All right, Jordan. I'm going to let you go ahead and call these names out real quick, and we'll talk about why how important these are.
I love it. And I actually forgot to report a name. So yay, I get to say it. It's my fault that it didn't get to Tina. So I appreciate you guys for the opportunity to say it. 10 plus interviews last week. Chris Cook, David Roberts, Mariah Kellett, Bridget Rudisil, my super hot husband, Jared Gillum, Connie Hunter, Madison Abrahams, Kevin Walder, Karen Owens, Amber Blair, Betsy Barr, Deanna Cortez, Jose Martinez, Mark Newbauer, Mohammed Boss, Samantha Harrington, Sharon Casanova, Steve Odivo, James Martinez, Rochelle Singleton, Jeffrey Miller, Stephen Tickle, Daniel Rodriguez, Ken Fear, Steve Fiorentino, Troy Stevens, Mark Schenkel, Angela Bennett, Kathy Johansson, and Amy Zarn. All dang, Amy, look at you go. 10 plus interviews last week. Woo, woo. Why is that important, Cook?
Why is that important? Because here's the thing. If you want to grow a business, we proved it now over time, right, Jordan? We've been talking about this for years. And our group has continued to grow because this was the forefront of our thought process. And if we realize more people in our group are going out and interviewing more people, we'll attract more people to our business. We attract more people to our business. It gives more people a chance to win in this phenomenal opportunity in the financial services insurance world. And we just want to share that opportunity of wealth with more people. And the people on this board, that's what they're doing. So proud of everybody on this board. You're putting words to action. And I love that. So next one, Miss Tina. New writers, we got Carissa Blackwell, Jose Lerma, Robert Withrow, Lydia Abidjan,
Nice.
Takia Joseph, Ahmed Kefala,
Nice.
Zachary Martin. Boy, y'all have really challenged the guy today. Sagan Shanks, Julie Kennedy, Joseph Trail, Robin Tripp, Ronald Gilmer, Philip Cervantes, Elizabeth, I can get this last name, Cook, Anthony Hernandez Beckman, Sybil Curse. Proud of all you brand new writers. That's a lot of brand new writers right there. And proud of all those people bringing those people on. So back to you, Jordan.
I am so proud of this because check out total RTWs. Is this a record yet? Have we hit a record in a week?
You know what this is? This is an all-time record in a week. I just saw the number.
Woo!
Yeah, so heck yeah, girl.
I love it. Total RTWs for the Cook Master Agency in 1 week. 35 brand new agents have came through, got licensed, have access to writing their first piece of business. So let's give it up for the top 4 agencies in building. Bridges Base, woo, woo, 4 RTWs, tied with the Cook Base with 4 RTWs. Martinez Base, 6 RTWs, to only be beaten out by the best ever, the Gillum Base. And I'm not partial whatsoever to the Gillum Base whatsoever. 7 RTWs last week. Let's go, team.
Hey, and that's 11 on that leaderboard for the Gillum organization, which I love there. It shows you as an organization. Way to go. Top 3 app count this past week. Samantha Harrington, I'm always proud of you, lady. 7 applications. So happy for you. Bridget Rudisil, proud of you, lady. Way to go. Showing those big numbers. Big announcement coming up soon in your organization. 9 applications. And Elijah, the man, the myth, the legend, he made a commitment to start running 15 appointments a week and sitting with those. And I said, Elijah, if you do that, you're going to show the world who you are. And who you are, buddy, is one of the top 10 personal producers in all of Symmetry Financial Group. And just proud of you, man. Super proud of you, Elijah. Way to go, man. Top
All right.
producers, you get to the top 5, and then I get the good stuff.
I love it. Let's go. Jake Shepard, also becoming not a stranger to being above 3K every single week. Started what, 2 months ago? Are we 60 days in, Jake? 90 days
We're about
finally?
90 to 100 out for him.
There we go. 3K. Zach Smith, 3,600. Haddon Williford, who we finally got to meet in Phoenix. A really nice guy. 3,700. Deanna Cortez, right under 3,800. Tequila Baxter coming in with 5 apps out of nowhere. I love it. So proud of you. 3,800. Carissa Blackwell, brand new writer, 3,900. Bridget Rudisil, 4K. Robin Peace, 4,300. Navdeep Kaur, good for you, Nav, 4,800. Holly Austin, woo! Working part-time, crushing it, 5,200. Paul Jones every week, 5,300. Muhammad Ba, can't write under a grand, 5,300. Katie Robertson, 5,800. Stephen Tickle, 5,900. Danelle Roberts, hey, that's my friend, 7,600. Ken Ferrer, 7,700. Betsy Barr, shoot, 8,100. And myself can't even make it in the top 5 with 8,200 for the week. I love that.
Hey,
So
I'm about to say, isn't it cool that you're doing 8,200, Jordan, and you didn't make the top 5? I think that's a cool thing, actually.
do you see
Right?
the top 5 though? Like I just looked up finally and oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're getting ready to see some cool numbers. So Val Zarn, 9,124, continues to kill it. He is on a tear lately. Way to go,
There he
buddy.
is.
Number 4, Tricia Tentillo, 9,300 and 9,393. Way to go, Tricia. Way to go,
Woo.
lady.
She's like a
Number
brand new agent too. She's brand spanking new.
Yeah. And then hey, Jordan's not too far behind her. He's been with 2 of the top 5 right there. 2 of the top 5 is Val Zarn organization. Jordan
Wow.
Lott with 15,306 last week alone. That's part of the Val and Amy Zarn growing organization. Michael Del Grande, 17,084. So I'm gonna say that again. Jordan Lott with 15,306. Way to go, Jordan. That's a newer agent going out there and killing it. Michael Del Grande, 17,084. I'm just repeating these names because I'm so impressed with these numbers, right?
I
Jordan?
mean, how long has he been a part of the organization? That's a Xander. That's Team Xander right there. I was seeing Newbauer's group for the week at
Yeah,
40 grand, and now it makes sense. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I mean, holy crap. That's huge.
Yeah, exactly. Elijah Carujo, back-to-back top weeks. In the last 2 weeks, he's written, I think that's 34,000 in premium in the last 2 weeks, Elijah. And here's what he did, folks. It's nothing complicated. He committed to sitting with 15 families a week. He committed to doing that. And I said, Elijah, if you do that, buddy, you're going to shock the world with what you do. So way to go, buddy. Ran 16 plus last week. Way to go, young man. That's just awesome. So proud of you. All right, Jordan, over to you.
Top key leaders. This is going to change soon. Super excited for that. Number 2, Connie Hunter with 8,167 to be beaten out by Mr. Tickle. Look at that picture of him. Look at all dapper and like in a suit or whatever. That's nice. I
He's
like
looking
that.
handsome.
86,61. Good job, Tickle.
He's looking handsome. Top base shops, Fiorentino, 11,214. Gillum base, 12,144. Bar base, 14,308. Martinez base, 16,520. Tina, way to go, 25,120. Miller base, 25,706. And the Newbauer base, bravo, Mark.
Wow.
Just bravo, good sir. 40,000, man. You've been breaking people out and you're still up there. I'm telling you, it shows you recruiting is the key. Couldn't be more proud of you, Mr. Newbauer. Your numbers on a weekly basis for your entire organization is phenomenal. And I want to say this, Jordan, this is not, obviously these numbers will be updated in the Symmetry system, but this last week, we had 5 of the top 18 base shops in all of SFG. That didn't include these numbers. It means we actually may be better this upcoming week. So way to go, organization. That's a shout out to Spark Recruiting. We couldn't do it without Betsy Barr and her phenomenal genius that she is, supporting all of us and bringing that tool to services to bear.
I mean, I think the biggest thing to point out on that board is every single person on that board has already had an agency owner break out and then they're building yet again. Like that's something at AO that you've arrived somewhere. But no, it's just the very beginning. And thanks to Spark, we're able to do so much. We're able to do
Duplicate
so
that.
much in such a short period of time in our base shops.
Yeah. We have a saying, and I hope you guys get it. I put out there, hashtag 8 months to AO. I believe if you're a brand new agent starting with us today, you should expect, not hope, wish, anything like that. You should expect, if you're a part of Spark Services and you do the right things, you should expect to be agency owner in 8 months with us. Period. End of sentence. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's going to happen. It's going to be a manufacturing thing. And that's what you should expect. All right. Is it me or you, Jordan?
This is
It's you, isn't it? I'm going to let it be you.
yeah. This is me. Top AOs for the week, not the month, the week. Roberts Agency, 16,788 for the week. Fear Agency, 21,155, and the Zarn Agency, kicking butt, kicking wing, 24,802. That's
Winner,
super
winner,
awesome.
chicken
Great job,
dinner,
Zarn.
Zarn Agency. Way to go.
Woo.
Proud of you, buddy. All right, top agency directors plus. I love calling out these numbers. We've got agency director Troy Stevens, 42,412. So very proud of you, Troy, and your team. This is awesome. Jeff Miller, look at that number on a week. Is that an all-time record? If it is, Jeff, put it in the text box, baby. 68,118. And Smoking Joe Martinez, 87,383. Now, is that back-to-back $88,000 weeks for Joe?
That's exactly what's going on. And this time he probably did send a coffee to Tina.
Yeah,
And
he
so
probably did. He paid
good
her
on
off
you,
well.
Joe, for sending the coffee. I love it. But
Yeah.
back to back, that's what is that? 175,000.
176,000 last 2 weeks.
Look at us doing math.
I
Just
know.
incredible.
It's
Yeah.
like we even know how to count sometimes. Mr. Mark Newbauer, please tell us if that's a new record for you, buddy, because I'm thinking it's a new record for you. If it's not, it just shows you how phenomenal you already are, buddy. 169,687,000. I couldn't be more proud and happy for you, man. And someday he's going to win us an Oscar so we can attend the what do they call them?
The party, the Oscars.
I
The
keep wanting to
Oscars.
say the Grammys, but it wouldn't be the Grammys. So
You'll win an Oscar at the Oscars.
Grammys.
I like it.
Ah, dang it. They just
Damn.
tricked me with that complicated stuff, Jordan. All right, total FIFs. Jordan, I'm going to put this over to you.
Thank you. I was hoping you would, because y'all, if you see the numbers on the board, I just want you to put it in your head. What would this mean for you all if everyone bought into what's here? Because right now, only some of us are buying in, which shout out to the Gillum Agency for yet again crushing this week, because we're super good at this stuff. But the biggest thing is the FIF reset. If you're brand new and you're like, what does this even mean? So when you're running your appointment, you're going to be doing something called a financial information form. In the financial information form, you're going to be getting down to the logic of what do they need, right? And that's in regards to mortgage protection 99% of the time, especially with working mortgage protection leads. You're going to figure out the gap, ask your emotional questions, and then help them figure out what policy suits their budget, since we have identified the need. In that process, your client's going to fall into one of three categories. They have debt, they have a retirement set up to some degree, or they have no retirement. One of those three is going to come up. When you have identified which one of those three your client falls into, we need to start asking quality questions. These quality questions are in regards to, would your retirement be better and easier if you were totally debt-free? If the answer to that question is yes, you need to go to fifreset.com and schedule a 5-minute discovery call with your resetter. Did you guys hear the question? Put it in the chat if you heard the question, pretty please, for engagement's sake. I don't like talking at people, I like talking with people. So please put it in the chat if you got that question. Would your retirement be easier if you were debt-free? If all of your debts, including your mortgage, was paid off, right? In every appointment, I want you to ask that at the end, whether you write a policy or not. Go to fifreset.com, schedule a 5-minute discovery call with your resetter, with that person at just a good time. It is an educational call about how your resetter can do that very thing for your clients. 16 people did that last week. 16 different appointments were set. Out of that, five applications were taking, and the referring agent, all they had to do was ask that question and schedule an appointment. They got 7,600 APV in credit for that, with a total APV split of 15,200. Now, why is that number 50%? It's because these people who are doing these referrals and having the applications written are registered for national conference, which we'll talk about in just a second. So you get a 50-50 split on anything written, and all you had to do was ask quality questions. So shout out to the agents who did. Victoria Creasman, Tickle, Philip Cervantes, brand new agent, shout out to you. Kevin Walder, Hudie Evans, Cody Bender, Brooke Dial, all with 1. Becca Blodgett, myself, and Christina Knox with 2, and Byron Austin with 3, which we see you, Byron, grinding it out on band. Thank you for showing the good and the bad. It only comes if you keep showing up. Good job, Byron. Super proud of you. Agency stats, Fiorentino Agency, Newbauer base, Martinez base, all with 1 FIF reset last week. Cook base with 2, Vera Agency and Miller base with 3 each, and the Gillum base reigning again and number first placed with 5.
Number first place. I like it. So great job, Gillum Agency. All right, next, Miss Tina. We're going to go through these quick, Tina. All right, this right here is just conference registration leaderboard by base shop. Look at these numbers. Congratulations. I'm going to call out everybody above the 30 mark. So Jeff Miller and that crew, 32, showing the Bridges Agency, 35, Gillum, 49. I'm going to say this. Gillums get it, folks. Get what the Gillums get. They get butts and seats at conference, or what helps change people's lives. It's what has changed a lot of our lives. It's us. I mean, we all went to a conference for the first time. And I just promise you, if you make the great decision, this will be things. So just shout out to the Gillum Agency there. Here's a QR code. If you hadn't got registered, you can log on to that. So it tells you about Quilty National Engage Conference coming up. Get with your agency owner. They have discounted tickets for $179 to save you money, get you there, and to be able to change your future if you do your things correctly. Keep on going, Tina. We're going to get through this stuff pretty quickly. Symmetry Summer Tour dates. Congratulations. We knocked it out of the ballpark. All of those are over with. We got Denver National Conference is the next upcoming thing. We've got leadership. You want to qualify for leadership? It's May through September is the qualification. 10 people will attend its conference June through September 1st, or 1 month of key leader qualification. Make sure you take care of that. Details, your owner's packs have to be paid off. So if you hadn't paid for your owner's pack, just make sure you do the right things. Go and get that paid off. The hotel months. Hey, the reason y'all want to be a part of that is because we looked and we've studied our group. We've looked and studied our growth, and it's all born from these leadership conferences we've been hosting the last few years, in particular, the one we had in Temecula, California. You guys have seen some clips and videos of that right there. That certainly was a turning point for a lot of people in our organization. Building great relationships, learning what leaders do, and emulating what leaders do in the duplication of that process. Any shout out you want to give to that, Jordan, and what that would mean for somebody's growth in their group?
I think what comes with this is understanding what the lifestyle is like whenever you grow a business here. Guys, we all get lost in the mundane of living and dying on the appointment, right? This appointment better show up. Oh, this appointment didn't show up. My life is terrible. This appointment better show up. Wow, they showed up. My life is great. This appointment better show up. Oh my God, they no-showed me. Don't they know I have a family and people to feed, right? Like, we live and die in the appointment, that you forget about what it's like to truly thrive and live a life of freedom and having fun, which is what building a business here allows for us to have. We were just talking about that in our morning meeting today with our accountability group. Is just about the freedom you can have here to really change your life in 1 year. This gives you a taste of what that's like. And it's something that if you truly want to have time and money, work on qualifying for that. And shout out to Emma. I mean, crushed that.
Yeah, shout out to
Crushed that
Emma
promo.
and getting that out there for us. And Tina, do you have the Spark slides? Can you unmute, tell us you have the Spark slides or not?
I guess maybe we don't have the Spark slides.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought that they were in here.
No worries. That's okay. They were in there. They just disappeared, right? So anyway, shout out to Spark once again, guys. If you want to take advantage of what we're doing, you see the phenomenal growth that's going on. Get with your AO today, learn more about Spark and how it can influence what you've got going on. You don't need to share another screen. Tina, you can just take us back to the normal thing. Just make sure you take advantage of that. We set an all-time record for RTWs in a week again this week after tying our all-time record last week. So that's huge. It's 35 people, brand new people joining our organization to go write their first applications, take care of families. Couldn't do it without Spark and what that's meant to our organization. Also, shout out Tina. You correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't think I've told any of the AOs this. Last week we set a new all-time APV record by like 8 to 10,000. This week we beat that record by 18,000. Is that right?
Phew.
Something like that. So way to go, team. Almost by 20,000 that we just beat our all-time APV record in a week again after setting it the week before. So just bravo to each and every one of you. All you leaders going out there and making it happen. That is phenomenal. Just couldn't be more proud of you. And like I keep telling people, folks, we're going into national conference and they ain't seen nothing yet. I promise you there. So, Jordan, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you're the hostess with the mostest and let you get started because I know we got some special people that are near and dear to my heart on the call today and special human beings and leaders in this company. So I'm going to turn it over to you, let you lead that.
Thank you so much. Also, we have to give it up for our guests today. I appreciate you, Cook, for even while I was out of pocket with this weekend, spending time with my family. You set this all up just to have, us all be poured into by somebody who's really taken this business by storm. And it's not the only person we're going to get to hear from today. I mean, it's just all back-to-back goodness. To my girl, Sarah Reinecke, who you are is just so important to me in my business and an example of, being a mom, an example of being a wife, and also just taking your true identity and who you've become for your own self, for the people that you surround yourself with. From the moment that I had my first conversation with you, hearing you share your story from stage, I was like, man, if I could even communicate or make people feel the way that you at least made me feel, like that's what I want. I want that. Like, I don't know what I need to do, or I know you'll tell me what you did, but I appreciate it so much, for who you are. And so Sarah Reinecke, she is a regional agency director. Sarah, how long you been with this company? Are we at 4 years now, or is it still 3? I feel like
June was 4 years.
4 years. Okay, so guys, picture this: 4 years. Had anybody done anything for 4 years before? Like worked a job somewhere, just 4 years straight, right? What did your 401k look like after 4 years of pouring into it? If you even got to pour into it for the full 4 years, because I think you have to be vested or something like that. I don't know. I never worked somewhere with a 401k. But 4 years in, her agency is the #1 regional agency director group. She is in the top base shops in the company. And I want to talk about just your base shop in general, Sarah, because not only are you pumping out an $8.1 million agency year to date before this past week, because all I had was by the numbers. Her base shop did 1.2 million. She's already at 1.2 million just in the base shop. Like, that's just wild stuff right there. So Sarah, if you don't, I know I've done it, I've introduced you, but just like a little bit about your background before you came here is really, if you don't mind giving people. So, because you're this insurance guru, that's where you came from. You brought a whole agency over, and it's been so easy from you for day one, right? That's exactly what happened.
Oh, for sure. Yes. No, I always say nothing in this business came easy for me. Not one thing. Never found my runner's high, never found my sales high. Nothing in this business came natural or easy for me by any means at all. But thank you for having me. Those words matter. And I always say, like, Jordan, you're such a intentional person with your words and association. It is a really special thing how you and Jared do that. And you notice things, you watch, you're observers, and you associate so intentionally and for specific reasons. I love that. You're like, all right, this is what I want to learn from this person. This is what I want to learn from this person. And I just think there's just so much to that. But I am Sarah Reinecke. I am directed Jacob Pogue in the Marshall Whalen hierarchy. And I love that I just get to say Jacob and Marshall. Jacob and Marshall. That's it.
Not the long laundry list of people between. I love that.
I was only mentored by Jacob and Marshall. I know. I love it. I'm spoiled rotten. But truly, I love both of those guys so much. They've kept this so simple for me and have kept me, on good human highway, and you start to veer off like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And they just kept, bringing me back over. And Jacob deserves an award for grabbing me by the scruff of the neck enough times and not letting me jump off a cliff, because I wanted to several times, lots of times, like, this is it. It's over. Can't do it. Too hard, too much. And he's like, not today, like grabbing me like a cat on the scruff of the neck and bringing me back in the fence. And he deserves an award for that. I mean, there's more than a handful of times, just one more day, right? And I'm just so grateful that he believed in me enough. Many times when I don't know why he did, but he did. And I'm just forever grateful for that. But yeah, I'm a teacher by trade and education, got all the degrees, a master's degree and a specialist degree, did all those things, 2 Teacher of the Year awards. And after 16 years, made $2,400 a month. So when teachers say they have to wait until payday to buy Sonic, they mean it. Like, they mean it. Like, we will get lunch next week on payday. And the bad news, as a teacher, you get paid once a month. So that paycheck is gone 10 times over. So you got to hurry up and get Sonic before those auto bills start coming through on that day. So yeah, I mean, I love the impact of what I did, but not the income. Like travel ball for my son, who was 8 at the time, or preschool braces. Those things were like so stressful in my life, because we were just tight, and in fact, we even had to pull our 3-year-old from preschool. I had to call the preschool and say, we can't afford it. And my husband had a good job. I had a good job, but we couldn't afford life, and it was like, there's gotta be something else out there. So yeah. And then did some direct sales. That was to pay for travel ball in preschool. I never really cared about skincare, but I cared about $500. $500 a month made those things possible. That changed everything in our life. And that business took us all over the world and grew a big team. And I sold it actually in 2019, sold that business that I built, because I could no longer say with integrity, you can do what I did, you can have what I have. It wasn't true any longer. So I couldn't say it. So I sold it in 19. And then I came across this. I looked at real estate, looked at mortgage, looked at State Farm. I actually didn't pass the personality test at State Farm, whatever.
Sorry.
I know.
You're such a nice person though. That it's like, what are they looking for?
Exactly. And I got hired, and then they said, the first thing we have you do is take a personality test. I'm like, cool, okay. And I just kind of rushed through it. And then they called me back. Well, thank you very much. We would love to. I was like, oh my God, did I just fail the personality test? And I had to go into the kitchen and tell Jared I failed a personality test. And he's like, could have saved you the test. And I was like, shut up. It's not funny. It's not funny. So, but actually I'm glad, because that got me thinking insurance. And then when Jim Larson's like, dude, if you're looking at State Farm, you should look at this. Right. And so super grateful I didn't pass that personality test. It's fine. Julia Roberts, big mistake. And in fact, that guy actually did that. The guy that hired me, he asked me to come back a couple of years later. And I was like, man, this is going pretty well over here. And he's like, I knew it. Like, I knew you'd be good. And he didn't have any say over the personality test, but yeah. So I've been here since I actually hired March of 2020 and just couldn't take my test because everything was shut down for a bit. And then got started in June. So.
Beautiful. I want to talk about that actually, because you came here, you were thriving on cash. Your life was great. The business came easy to you.
Yeah.
Can you shed light on everybody on how you made it to your first conference, and what would your life be like right now if you didn't make that happen?
Oh man. Let's see, June. And mind you, I hired a girl named Jamie Susie, before I even had my license.
Okay. Yeah, she's doing all right. Yeah.
And what's crazy is I researched for 2 weeks and I beat Jacob Pogue up. I'm like, if I plant my flag, I'll plant it. But I have questions, Jacob Pogue. I didn't know he was kind of a big deal. So I was like, I don't care. Like, I got questions. And I think just out of entertainment, he kept answering my questions. He didn't need me, right? But I was thinking, why didn't you just hang up on me and let me fly? But I didn't know him. Jim handed the phone to him. But once I had decided I was doing this thing, then I called Suze and I'm like, hey, you should come do this insurance thing with me. She's like, doesn't sound sexy. I'm like, I think we can make it sexy. She's like, fine, you're not getting rich without me. That was the entire conversation. Like, I researched for weeks, but whatever. I think she's done okay. But yeah, so I mean, that's one reason that I have gone as fast, obviously, is because I've been chased by a lion that never sleeps, ever. Just never takes a nap, never sleeps. I promise you, she just keeps going. So if I did, actually my first month, I did 6,000, which was kind of good, but she did 12. The next month I did like 6,000, which is kind of good. She did 10, right? So this is the story of my life. I'm like, that was kind of good. But I think it was month 4, November, I made $84 total because I was a really good quoter and I was a really good discount shopper. I was like, Betsy, I will search far and wide to find the cheapest policy on the face of this earth because that's the nicest thing to do for you, Mrs. Jones. And turns out that's not a great business model. And that wasn't ever my job. And I made $84 that November. And Jared came in and he was like, babe, I love you. And I know you like this thing, but like you made $84. I was like, that's not good at all. So Jacob got on the phone and it was one of the scruffs of the neck, that November. So thank goodness for that. So no, this did not come easy. None of the sales part came easy for me at all. It was all excruciating for me. But to answer your question about events, like I came in COVID, right? So it was a long time before I had an actual event to go to. So my first event was the Altitude Conference, Wayland Altitude Conference, was the first one I went to. But here's what I noticed about this. I went and I remember standing in a long line to talk to a guy named Todd Spivey, waiting for like with my interview card, like maybe he'll talk to me. And I was just in awe. Here's what I was in awe of when I went to that was I met Ryan Miller, I met Miranda, I met Marshall, I knew Jacob and I met Spivey. And I'm like, man, the leadership here is interesting. The view at the top, they all looked at me in the eye. They weren't looking over my shoulder, the next coolest person to talk to. They were intentional with the words they were using. They were nice. They were not too good. They didn't have an entourage around them. I was like, this is interesting. This is different. And they all were the same. They were different, but they were the same, if that makes sense. And I remember having the thought, like, if this is what leadership looks like here, I'm in. I've got a lot of work to do. If I want to communicate like that, if I want to be seen like that and respected like that, I'm here for that work. I want to fit in with people like that. I want to be respected with people like that, right? And I was so impressed with what the leadership looked like. And I love the accountability of leadership here because if that's where I am, then I have a standard, right? That I want to be in that club where people look at me that same way. And that accountability is good for me. So I was like, I got to get myself there. All right, what's the fastest route to get to that point? Because, I want to be in that club. I want that rare air, right? So that was what I noticed the most about that. But I fell in love with everybody, right? And I didn't want to miss out ever again on anything that has to do with anything with this company, right? So yeah, that was my first event that I went to for sure.
Oh, I love it. So how much of your success that you've experienced, because we do understand there is a difference between success and significance. Your family has got a lot, right? Like now in life over the last 4 years. How much of that would you attribute to attending the first event that you ever went to?
Oh, I mean, it kills me to think about not have gone to that or not to have been a part of it. And a crazy piece to that is my other direct AO, Logan Moore. I hired her on Tuesday I was heading out to that conference on a Thursday. She called me on a Tuesday and she was an acquaintance at best. And she said, hey, can I do this? And I was like, I think so. Yeah, it may be great. And so we talk a normal conversation. And I said, hey, if you're crazy, meet me in Knoxville on Thursday. She was like, YOLO. She talked to her husband. She was like, I'll meet you there. I was like, holy God, she said yes. I'm so grateful though that I invited her, right? So you think right now is too late to invite to conference? Like not a chance. This is actually the best time because the people who are a little bit crazy, because let's be honest, for us to make it here, you got to be a little bit crazy. All of us are a little bit crazy. Look, all the heads nodding. You all are. If you're here, you're commission only, you're 1099. Like this is interesting work that takes a little crazy. To bet on yourself. Normal people go get a regular job. Crazy people do what we do, right? So those crazy people are like, yeah, sure, I get it. Like if this is going to be my thing, I'll meet you there. Those are the people you want to lock arms with for a long time. And I called Jamie Cuppernell and I was like, this girl Logan's coming. Can she room with you? She's like, of course, more the merrier, because Cuppernell's crazy like that. And so I said, all right, you're going to meet this girl named Jamie. I have a thing about Jamie's over here. And she fell in love with everybody there as well. Without that, she wouldn't be here. Not a chance. Not a chance, right? So it's everybody. What I love about events like this is why it was just in Kansas City. Do we want to have qualitative or quantitative results from doing events like this? It's qualitative because you make friends, you surround yourself with people that you like to be around, and then you can't wait for the next conference, for the next whatever is coming up, because you literally enjoy the people that you work with. And if you're going to get to the next conference, you might as well have accomplished something before you get to the next one, right? So it's so important. And I also just think of these things, you're reminded that you work for an incredible company. When you're by yourself at home in your own office and you're not plugged in and engaged in what we do, your mind's going to be like, this is not real. This is your imaginary life. The company is not real. Your mentor is not real. It's all a dream. And it's hard. It's a hard dream. So you should just wake up and go get a job. Like, your mind's going to tell you crazy things. If you're by yourself and you don't plug into things like this, or don't get to a conference, or don't get to an event like that, because you go there and you're like, God, I'm surrounded by amazing people that all do the same thing that I do. Look at all this branded material. Look at these amazing trips. Like, oh, I am part of a sales force for an incredible company that's on its way to be a $10 billion company, and I get to be a part of it. Cool. If you don't remind yourself physically in a room with other people who do the same thing as you, it's real easy to feel like it's all a dream, right? Because your brain is trying to keep you from feeling uncomfortable. It's wired for it.
I love it. And I think this is the part where I think it changes, right? Is when you make it to those events, it goes from being a dream to your dream.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you get to take ownership of the fact that this is real. I can do this. And there are people who have had it harder than me who figured it out.
Yeah. If nothing else, it's like, if that dude can figure it out, I can figure it out. I had a lot of that. I'm like, that lady figured it out. Reineke, I was always like, Lee Jed Lee, it's its fourth language. English is its fourth language, and he's killing me on the boards every week. English is my first language. Reineke, like, for God's sakes, figure it out. Like, if nothing else, you're going to surround yourself with people like, that lady figured it out, for God's sakes. Right? So that helps too, I think.
Oh, 100%.
There's too much evidence otherwise. That's what I always think too. You look at by the numbers, you look at the leaderboards on a Wednesday, you're like, are they all paid actors? That doesn't make
Paid
any
actors.
sense.
Could you imagine how well they'd have to pay us? I mean, they can't pay us more than they already are. I mean, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. We were just talking about, anyways, long story. I had a whole thing I was going to go down, but that's more of like a me and you conversation, not like for 180 people to be listening to. But long story short, like, just to have passive income bonus checks, like the equity check, right? And I mean, I don't know if the actors are paid that well. I really don't know. That's just, thank you so much, Sarah, for all of this. I want to ask you one more question. Unless you have more on your heart to share, I do have one more question. Is, let's say you're not surrounding yourself as well as you should, as far as with the people who are immersed in the position you want to trade places with, right? What could you say to somebody who is hearing from family, hearing from people who care about them, that this trip may not be lucrative? This trip to conference may not be what everyone here is telling them it is. What would you say to that person?
I would say they're doing that with love. I'll give you an example. My son, who's 21. Do you remember the Chiefs game last year that was like -32? Do you anybody remember? And Chiefs is a what kind of a team? Jordan, we covered this before. What sport?
I got this. Football.
There we go. Okay, because last time I was on, you thought it was baseball.
Look at my hat. I got a baseball hat on now. I actually saw baseball recently. So I'm just saying I got this now.
Do you remember that game? Anybody remember the Chiefs game where it was -32 degrees and only crazy people? Okay. And my son is like, I'm going to that. I was like, I don't feel like that's a good idea. He's like, he's looking at me like, as I'm like, son, like, you can die. It's a 2-hour drive to Kansas City. If you get, something happens to your car, you're on the side of the road, you have minutes. Like, do you understand? Like, truly, I'm not even worried about the game, but like, as a mom, I do not want him to go. I can see 100 reasons why he should not go and do that. And he's looking at me like, I'm like, this is parenting adults. They're going to do what they're going to do, which is a really weird thing whenever your kids become adults, right? He did. He has no regrets. And it was the time of his life. He has the best pictures and he got it cheap, and crazy people didn't go. And he got to move down to the front. I mean, it was like the opportunity of a lifetime for him. With love, I didn't want him to go. I love the Chiefs. I love going to those games. With love, I did not want him to go. Right? I was not a fan, didn't like it one bit. And I was like, why didn't you text me back? I was mad at him. He goes, my fingers are frozen. Could you give me a break? It's like, I guess that logically makes sense. But so I'm saying this about your family. They love you. They don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see you in debt. They don't want to see you, do something that's not good for you. And they're not going to this. They're not on this call right now. They don't get to go and have the fun. They only have the worry. They don't get to have the fun part of this, right? They only have the worry. And most likely you've complained about like, man, this is hard. Man, I have to go home and dial. No, I can't go to dinner tomorrow night because I got to go home and dial. So from their perspective, they don't have anything positive. So make sure you do share some positive things with your family, because a lot of times they only get the complaining and the no, I can't go to dinner because I have to work. Right. So they don't get the cool side of this. So give them a little bit of grace, because they love you and they don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Right. But do you want to trade paychecks with that person? Do you want to trade lives with that person that loves you? I have a lot of people that love me that I don't want to trade lives with them. My parents did not understand this either. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a principal. They did not understand this. They were like, my mom would be like, I know you say you have to work, but I don't know what you actually do. She would say weird things like that. Why do you have to? Well, I work, Mom. And she didn't get it. Now we're able to pay for their lawn care. We're able to pay for their cell phone, right? Like we're able to help both of our parents in ways that we would have always dreamed we could not do it if it wasn't for this business, right? They're so proud of us now. And they are so grateful that we're able to help them with some things like that. So you just have to get to the other side, because on the other side of this, you're going to be able to bless those people that love you so much to try to protect you. You're going to be able to give back in all kinds of ways later, once you do the work and you surround yourself with people that you do want to trade lives with, you would want to trade bank accounts with, or trade bonuses with. Get super intentional. Just like I said with Jordan earlier, I would encourage you in your calendar every week, write down 5 people's names that inspire you. Intentionally, offensively, decide these are 5 people I'm going to call this week, or shoot a text message to, and just say, hey, I see you on the board. You've inspired me all week long. Congratulations. Just want you to know that I see you and I appreciate you. Don't take a bunch of their time. Just associate with them. Send them an audio or call them and say, hey, I got 5 minutes. Tell me one thing you're excited about, Jordan. Thank you. Love you so much. See you later. Don't take an hour of Jordan's time. Quick, right? 5 people that inspire you every week to intentionally associate with. Also look at the 5 people that you're spending the most time on the phone. Be very careful of, do you feel lifted or depleted after you get off the phone? And you just don't have time. You literally cannot afford to have those conversations, right? So going back, give grace to those people. They love you, but also you don't want to trade lives with them. So respectively, we're going to disagree and go to the Chiefs game when it's negative 32 degrees, even though your mom said no.
Even though your mom said no.
Can you believe it?
I wish you wrote a book called Even Though Your Mom Said No. That's,
right.
That's such a good title of a book right there.
Yes.
Man,
Yep.
that's just so good. Any advice you'd give to a new agent going into their first conference? Like, what do they need to have prepared? What mindset should they be going in with? And what can they get excited about on the other side? Like, what's your life like now? I know you mentioned you're paying for lawn care for your parents. What else is coming through life? So let's start with what's some tips you can give them heading into conference mindset, actual things wise, notes taking wise, and then, what's on the other side? What's life like now for you?
When I taught 3rd grade, we used to call it put on your thinking cap. Do you remember whenever your teacher used to say that?
That's why I'm wearing this hat. You guys
Is that your thinking cap?
This is the hat that makes sure I look forward and watch the screen instead of doing other things. This is my intention. Yes, thank you.
It is. But truly, you want to go in with choosing to engage, right? You can go to church or you can go to church, right? I go to church sometimes when I'm making like a grocery list and I'm like, went to church, check, versus whenever you go to church. You guys understand what I'm saying? So you can go to conference or you can go to conference. You can choose the level of engagement that you have while you're there. And it's like, okay, if I go to CrossFit in the mornings, well, I go to the CrossFit gym, then I do what I want. I don't know why my kids are defiant, but I go in the morning. But if I'm going to go there from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., I want to get something out of it. I want to choose to engage. At least I'm leaving accomplished something if I'm going to get up early. If you're going to sacrifice a lot, you're going to sacrifice time and money, and your parents are already annoyed at you for going, whoever it is, then you might as well get something out of it, right? So the best way to get something out of this is, this is not the time to catch up on sleep. This is the time to get up early, get to the gym, get down to the coffee shop, have a coffee. You never know who you're going to run into or who you're going to sit next to at the coffee shop or the gym. This is the time to bring notes and engage and sit next to other people who you know also want to choose to engage. This is not time to sit next to the clown, right? Because there will be somebody that's from this agency, from our agency, whatever, that's going to be like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go out and get a drink instead of this. And you're like, yeah, man, I really want to learn from this. And you're like, I'm losing 5 cool points, but you're gaining, 6, wealthy points. Choose the wealthy points over the cool points in that situation, and be a leader. We need leaders in this organization. We need leaders in this company. They're going to step up and do the right thing. And by saying to your clown friend, like, man, let's get something out of this. We got plenty of time to grab a cocktail. That's going to mean a lot to them. And either they're going to rise to that occasion and they'll be grateful that you called them up, right? Or they're not going to make it and you did. Those are the only 2 options with that. So be careful who you're sitting by. And if you're sitting by someone, be willing to stand up and do the right thing and lead, even if you're a party of one. Truly take notes. Be intentional about who you want to meet, who you want to be around. If you do run into someone that you want to get to know better, have a couple of questions ready that you want to know from them. It's not what kind of leads are they buying. You want to know, what do you read? What's your schedule look like? What's your morning routine look like? You want to learn how people that you admire, how they think, what they do in the mornings, because there are similarities. I promise you. What your goal is, you look at all the 130s and we're all very different, but there are some things that are the same. And your job at conference is to find those similarities that all the leadership that you admire have in common. Man, every one of them get up early. Every one of them has a lot of books that they really appreciate. Every one of them listens to the same few podcasts. Every one of them talks positively about this company and their mentors. Interesting. Okay. You find those similarities with the leadership that you admire. And then you decide, what can I start putting into my schedule and my life to hold me accountable to get better in those categories? If everybody that I admire gets up early and gets their workout in before the day starts, am I going to be the one dude that sleeps in that makes it here? I don't know. Maybe. Or I used to have a little note that said, hey, Sarah, do what successful people do. Sarah, to remind myself not to recreate the wheel or think I'm going to be the one outlier that does this different. Hey, Sarah, do what successful people do. Sarah, little post-it. And I kept it here for a long time, because when it gets hard, you want to recreate. You want to do it your own way. But your job at conference is to engage. It's to listen, to soak it up, to meet people that you want to be more like, finding out those things that are the same about all those people, and then making a plan. I like to do that before I get back home. What am I going to do different? 3 things I'm going to do different leaving this conference. Don't waste that bullet. You spent the money, you took your time out of the field, you made your mom mad. For God's sakes, engage while you're there, and then change something coming out and decide real intentionally what that will be.
You're that woman, Sarah. Thank you so much for being such a great example and shining light on how simple change can be if we associate with the right people, when we come and approach it with the right attitude, and when we trust that what we have here works. You've changed your life in a dramatic way in 4 years by keeping the focus on do what great people do. Do what the people on stage are doing. I mean, what are there, 40 some odd 130s at this point? How many are there?
There's 50.
There's 50. You hang out with any of the 50 130s, you'll be the 51st. Yep. That's how it works. She figured out, what do the people on stage do? And she changed her life. We were reading that breakthroughs are not some massive thing that happens one day. It's a micro shift, guys. And it's constant daily habits of the right thing that you change and acclimate to as you become somebody different. And then you'll have different. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the significance that you gave to us. We appreciate you so much. We're going to let you go. You're welcome to hang out for the rest of it, because we also have another speaker, which is just wild that this just keeps on going. This feels like the marathon that I want to be on. So I appreciate you, Sarah, so much. I saw the name. Yeah, he's here.
Where is he?
Yeah. It says here that his camera is off, which is kind of rude, but I mean, oh, there it is. There, it's much better. Andrew.
I didn't want to steal anything from Sarah. It was still her spot.
What, your face steals from Sarah? I don't think so. I'm just saying.
Like this is her show. This is her world. I'm just living in it. Okay.
That is not true. I want to just tell you that when I wrote down do what successful people do, I could have just said do what Hemi does, because he was like my cousin. You know, we got here and Jacob's like, man, I'm in my pool. I'm done by 4 o'clock every day. He's like living his best life when I got hired. And I was like, hey, you should teach me something about insurance. He was like, you got this, girl, make a friend. I was like, I should know things. And then I see Hemi over here. He was a leader. You know, I think you were probably 110 at the time. But he was just such a beacon of light in my life that I was like, he is respected. He's kind. His agency loves him. He always handles himself with grace and integrity. He's making great money. And he's 24 years old. I'm like, do I have a mentor that's 24 years old? This is annoying, but truly he is. I mean, I got to be in his crew feed. He taught me about culture. He's taught me so much in this business. So he was someone who I've always intentionally associated with. And we're just such good friends. And I just would take him home and adopt him, but he's an adult, so that's not appropriate. So I won't do that. But
I think you still can adopt adults. At least
Can
that I've had my name on a list for a long time. Nobody's picked it up. I'm just saying, like, I think you can though. I'm just
okay.
saying.
Yeah, Michael Matthews, I've tried it. Like I've got a whole list, like all you 20 somethings, like I'll just take you all, just keep
I
you.
love it.
You can
I
let
was
Joe know. I mean, I grew up with a dad and not mostly around, so let him know. Like,
Andrew dropping father trauma on the call in like 2 seconds. No,
See you guys
I was
later.
going to introduce Andrew, but I don't want to anymore. I mean, you did a great job. No, we're so happy you're here, Andrew. I did write a couple of things down as an intro to yourself, and Sarah turned her camera off to not distract from your hour, because that's, I guess, the mutually respectful thing to do. I love that. I'm so glad you're here, Andrew. I mean, you started very recent, like right after I think Jared and I started, and we just saw you climb. You know what I mean? You were younger than us, or maybe we were the same age at that point in time. I'm not 100% sure. I think you were a little younger. And the one thing that always remained consistent, that what we saw with you, Andrew, is just your humility and your want to be better. Like that was something that we saw from the very beginning in you. You've always been just like this kind aura of a person. Like I just echoing what Sarah said there. And anytime you meet somebody who's a part of Andrew's agency, they're happy to be so. Like you reach out and you go, hey, so whose group you're a part of? You're going to learn this, guys. You go to conference and people are going to be like, hey, who are you? And you say who you are, but you also say what agency you're a part of, right? That's part of your intro. Anytime somebody brings up the Jimenez agency, they're so proud to be so. And so, I mean, Andrew, I don't know how old you are anymore. I think you're like younger than me. So it's got to be like south of 30, you know what I mean? And then, I mean, you're a senior vice president being here, you know, and just climbing the ranks with your wisdom and your want to be better. You're at 2.1 million for the year, minus last week, because I don't have by the numbers for this week. And at 313 RTWs for the year. I mean, holy cannoli ravioli. Like that's more than days that we've experienced, by the way. Like that you're bringing in about 2 people a day, every single day, even if the doors aren't open, like to business on the weekends. That's crazy. Andrew, if you don't mind, just briefly sharing with everybody, what is your background? Because, you know, insurance, you've been doing it since you were born and your parents did insurance. And that's why this was just like the easiest thing for you to just, as soon as you were a teenager, you were like, this is exactly what I want to do with my life.
yeah, funny enough, Chris Cook was actually my boss at the time. Just kidding. I was stocking boxes in the warehouse. Chris was driving forklifts, and I was the guy on the cherry picker going and putting the boxes on the shelves. And you know, for it was I was making $12 an hour, $1,500 a month, and I just found myself at 21 years old, college dropout, nothing going for me. I had $600 in rent, $600 in student loans, and $100 and something left over for food, gas, electricity, you name it.
Man, so obviously you were thriving in life at that point in time. You were ready to start a business. You know, you had, you know, no, obviously life wasn't going very easy in your life at that point. But I can imagine that there was a major change, major moment in your life where you said no more. What did that moment look like for you? And how did you make it to your first event? Like, what was your first event like?
Yeah, it was just kind of like I actually read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was kind of the triggering moment for me that said, okay, if I want more out of my life, I got to do it. And you know, one thing that I keep this saying kept coming back to me. I listened to it from I think Eric Thomas, or maybe it was Eric Thomas or somebody else, one of those guys that just basically said like, look, everyone's got it hard. Everyone's got a life that they got to live. tribulations, things happening, family issues. Like, the truth of the matter is, so what? If this is if the world of life is a game and we're playing poker right now, what are you gonna do? Just, you're gonna fold? No, you got to play the cards that you're dealt, right? And ever since I've heard that, I've been like, yeah, that's honestly just how it's been, since I got going. Is I just played the cards that I dealt. I didn't have a background. I never had any level of formal education. I don't have any personal experience. I didn't come in here with any leadership skills. I never had a manager position. Like, you just play the cards you're dealt. And so I came into this business, like I said, $1,500 a month, $600 in rent, $600 in student loans. I barely have enough money to get a license. And then they're telling me I need to go get to conference in 2 weeks. And so I got my license January 26th. I was at conference February 4th. Okay. And this was back in 2016 when it wasn't in Denver, which is way closer to Arizona, and it was only like $100, $150 flight. I was flying out to North Carolina, which I'd never even heard of the city Raleigh before. So I came into this thing and I'm like, well, I don't have this extra money that y'all say, like you all seem to have. So I got a license. How can I maybe utilize the license to immediately generate some income? And they said, simple. Yeah, go help some people that you know, right? Right. Help some friends. And basically you write 3 policies, you make $1,500. So that's how I personally got started there, Jordan, was I just called some people I knew, asked some very simple questions. Hey, do you already have life insurance? Great. Maybe we can save you some money. Do you already have life insurance? No? Great. Maybe you like what we have. And I sold 3 policies inside of a week. I made $1,500 by Friday. I took $500 and that bought my ticket to conference. And then I took $1,000 and that bought my leads for a month, $250 a week. And that was how I got to conference.
That's beautiful. So Andrew, obviously who you are today is not who you were back then, right? Knowing what you know now, how much of an importance would you say that first meeting was for you, that first conference, and how it's attributed to being where you are right now?
I'm not sure if I would be remotely close to where I'm at, because if I didn't go to that first conference, honestly, I don't even know if I would have been here, just because at conference, I actually learned just how much work I was going to have to put in if I wanted to make this thing work. Like, my first week out in the field, I bought the $250 worth of leads. I sat there and I dialed 180 something dials, 40 something people that I spoke to on MIB leads, MIC leads, right? And I booked 3 appointments. Like, I did the work, right? But when I went to conference, I realized, oh no, Andrew, that you are just atrocious at this thing. The truth of the matter is that if you want to make this work, you have to work 3 to 4 times harder than everybody else to get to the average baseline that they say is 12 plus appointments, 10 people that you get to see. You have to get to that point. And I said, oh shoot, well, then that means for me, it's just going to make me take 750 to 1,000 dials to get there. See, if I didn't go to conference and I didn't understand all the mumbo jumbo, I could barely write the word insurance and spell the word FIF, right? Like, what wasn't it? I got no that Jordan, you're the only one that laughed at that one.
No, John's laughing. John's laughing. You're good. We're here. We're together.
Uh, so basically, like, I could barely do that. So when I'm going to this thing and I'm seeing all these big numbers and all this stuff that's going on, my only thought is this. I'm like, I need one thing that I can walk away with that come Monday, I can actually start writing some premium, making some money, and making this thing work. Otherwise, I'm about to prove to everybody else that told me this was a really good idea that they're all right. And so I got home. I'm sorry, first off, the conference, it goes between, it went when Casey Watkins went on stage, and it wasn't even a speech, Chris. It was like this little intermission where Casey was about to introduce somebody, and he's like, oh yeah, great job to so-and-so. Yeah, guys, he's like, this business is a business of metrics. He said, you can't control people not picking up the phone, not being there, not buying from you, talking to their mother, brother, sister, having their dog cancel their insurance. He's like, you can't control none of that. He said, but what you can control is you picking up the phone one more time to book one more appointment, to write one more policy and go protect one more family. And if you do that, you will win. And so I just took those 4 cornerstones, I made them a checklist, and fast forward, my first month I made $1,500. Second month I made $6,000. Third month I made $8,000. Fourth month I made $13,000, and I paid off $12,000 student loan, but in 8 months, $18,000 in a total year, and made $80,000 my first year in this business. But yeah, conference taught me just how hard to work.
Love it. Because, well, let me tell you something about a lot of us here. A lot of us are not afraid to work. If you knew what the end goal was, if you knew that it was possible for you, if you had the proper training, right, where you're not distracted and you're sitting there in the classroom and someone says that one thing, like Andrew said he was looking for, that would help him do that very next thing, help that next family, help one more family, and keep winning. Andrew, I know we're stopped on time.